Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Out of Order Show. My name is Michael, aka the local boy, aka the nighttime's the right time. Anywho, welcome. This has been a long time coming. I have been putting this off for a hot minute just because I wasn't really, I don't know, something about celebrating vampire. It takes a lot for me to like dig deep because I feel like if I go right into it, I won't be in the right headspace. And the beginning of January was not the best for me, but now I think I'm in a good place to dive deep, especially since we are celebrating the return of LA by Night Season 4 this upcoming Friday, January 31st, over at World of Darkness Twitch channel. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see where it happens. I'm excited to kind of springboard off of their success with my role-playing series, with Starting XP presenting the Masquerade Camarilla side Season 3, which details are coming soon, sooner rather than later. So for everybody who's been thinking or talking or been just pondering when that's gonna happen, don't worry, it'll happen. It's gonna happen soon, sooner than you think, actually. Because if I'm gonna be frank, which typically I am, I'm not having fun with D&D. D&D was this experiment in mine. I was like, you know what? I feel like I need to actually be a full-fledged devotee of role-playing experiences, tabletop experiences. And I love to play D&D. Love it. Absolutely love the mechanics. I love the wonder, the spectacle. But gosh darn it, is running that game a whole... It's a whole nother thing. Basically, I'm like, damn, I just don't know. I don't know how else to like describe how much work it takes to run that game. It is like, bravo to all those DMs out there, dungeon masters. I'll just stick to storytelling. And yeah, that is that. I'll just leave it at that. Because my god, it takes a lot of effort, lots and lots of effort, for reals. Anyways, so we're gonna begin with we are going to begin our playthrough of Coteries of New York. Now, if you're familiar with New York, New York is kind of like a cool setting in the World of Darkness because it was like conquered by the Sabbat. If you read Gehenna, that was where like the Flesh Cathedral was at, and that's where Samiz kind of rose. So I kind of want to know what they did as far as like how, if they play into those events. I know some of the book series, the clan sagas tackle New York a little bit. There's like a prominent Tremere there as well. I'm excited. I'm excited to see where New York stands as far as a city in the modern nights, with the Second Inquisition and the fall of the Sabbat, how all that has played out in these new nights. So join me as we dive in. Need to kill the music and launch the game. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat there. Let's load. Loading. Draw distance. World of Darkness. The World of Darkness. All right. Settings. What we got? We got text. Let's go medium. Dialogue options in the middle. In the middle. Oh, in the middle. Video. Dynamic background. Controls. Okay, L's for log. J is for dictionary. That's probably all the lexicon. All the terms. How am I coming through? Alright, medium size. Back. New game. Bruja. No. Ventru. No. Corridor. Oh, really? Those are my 3 clans I have to pick? Where's my Tremere? Do I get to unlock Tremere later? Do I get to unlock the Tremere later? These are like the worst. These are like the worst clans. Which, by the way, I'm going to be coming out with a hot take video. A hot take video on. Hold on, let me turn it down. Just a smidgen. Just a smidgen. Dang. Like, I'm gonna be doing a V20, like a V20 in review, and going through all of the clans, and I'm gonna be ranking clans S tier and tier maker. God, really? Those are my clans. I would choose. Why can't I choose like a Gangrel or Malkavian or a Tremere? I gotta choose fucking vanilla? Are you kidding me? There's gotta be. Hold on. I cannot believe that these are my clans I get to choose. Hold on. Hold the phone. Anyone out there, hold the freaking phone. Hold the freak up. Hold on. Clan choices. Let's see. Do I get to pick a Tremere? Can I pick a Tremere? Development, release. Virtual novel. Nintendo Switch, Q1, additional standalone story expansion planned for release. Okay. But can I... Okay, wait. Okay. Characters belong to one of 3 clans. No! God damn it. Ugh, man. So it is just 3 clans. It's just the 3 clans. I have to choose between these 3 clans. Okay, so if I have to choose between the these are like clans I never pick. Just because there's so many other interesting clans. But if I have to pick one, I'm gonna have to go Ventru. As much as I want to go Bruja, I feel like Ventru would probably be the best one for me. Oh, I gotta choose a name. Okay. Let's go. Yes. New York taught me to believe in fate. Had you asked me about fate... Oh, wait. If you had asked me about fate back when I was a human, I would have told you it's just superstitious bullshit. That we are all designers of our own destiny. That brief shatter when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not some dumbass you see in the paper, of course, sank her teeth sank her teeth deep into my neck. Huh. I wanna the settings. Let's go back to text size small. Let's see. It happened in the very same way, or very same place you're standing in right now. By the way, fate, you decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see it glow again. I was incandescent myself. I was hot shit. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, and a spark in my eye. The one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light interrupting from within and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred, just like you. An apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouth bigot, bureaucrat. Oh man, I'm butchering it, boys. Braggart, bleh, and see them for all they are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate. A message saying you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It's almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom. It was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it if given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fit for the job. She considered them toys, and me, just her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. You might be wondering how I've learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be a day some of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you here straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you've never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight. So I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much. Don't get me wrong. It is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the only one I trust to do the job well and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. But this is New York, and I don't know about other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor. This is how it begins. Your phone rings. It's your boss. Again. The sun setting. The sun setting that fills your high-rise office an hour ago is gone. The city looks like an ocean of light from up here, spreading for miles to the north. You pick up. You're about a call. You were about to call it a day, forgetting about the world of fintech and depressing at home. No dice. One of the investors wants to meet you. His voice, as always, the perfect mix of authority and sleaze. He'll come by your office in an hour. You look at the clock. An hour? He's got to be kidding. Yeah, I know, but stick around. He's a heavyweight. You'll want to make a good impression. Fine, you grit your teeth a little. The boss hangs up. 2 hours, might as well pour another coffee into yourself and figure out how to best use this to your advantage. You suspect everyone knows that no, you're actually not happy with your current position. That, in fact, you feel squished against the glass ceiling that comes with the territory. Sure, your idiot supervisor might have gotten the job only because he's the CEO's golfing buddy, but you're going to put an unholy amount of work into your advancement. Times were you'd laugh off the idea of staying at the office until 9 p.m. You had a partner to go home to, the nightly Netflix and chill ritual to perform, complete with pizza or Chinese takeout. Ever since you moved up the ladder, though, your hours have been getting longer, or have only gotten longer. Food? Mostly the company cafeteria, sometimes takeout, always in a rush. You praise the heavens for your crazy metabolism and dread the day it finally decides to give up. Rest? At this point, the cleaning lady who takes care of your apartment probably spends more time in your bedroom than you do. You flash back to your boss quoting Shakespeare to impress his new, extremely attractive and uncomfortable young secretary. For some must watch while some must sleep. So runs the world away. Drinks? Mostly with colleagues. And they all pretty much hate you at this point. Another flashback. This time to the most profitable quarter in the company's history. Still, the board decides that layoffs were in order. Your boss didn't feel like letting people know in person, so he passed that privilege on to you. Gotta hand it to him. He always knew how to pick his battles. But maybe, just maybe, tonight's the night it's all going to change. You decide to play the good-looking angle. Oh, the good looks angle. Nothing too slutty. You leave your blouse a little unbuttoned. Check if your ass looks as good as you remember in your pencil skirt. Mirror says yes. Goddamn. It's not something you're proud of, but you've become too jaded to care. Oh my god. Oh, I'm so glad I chose. God, this is great. Oh, usually, FYI, I never play females. It's just a personal preference. Nothing against female NPCs or playing males playing females or females playing males. It's just not my cup of tea. Even though I do play a lot of female NPCs, they're not my characters, so I don't feel personally invested into them. But this time, this is a little fun. I'm definitely digging this. Definitely digging this right now. Knowing your luck, the investor is going to be one or two types. Self-obsessed Musk wannabe in his 20s, or a fat old pervert drenched in cologne. You heard the elevator ding. Time to get this show on the road. You take one final look in the mirror and fix your hair as the footsteps echo across the empty hallway. A man who appears in your office is not what you expected. He's slick, to be sure, but he seems a bit more refined than your usual company man. Expensive suit, matching tie, and a shirt. Confidence in his stride. Surprisingly good looking. Oh, wow. Good evening. I hope this unforeseen visit isn't too much of an inconvenience. God, that voice. You're taken aback by how smooth and strong it is. And his eyes. Steel blue. Cold. Intense. He's all business, professional. Treats you in a manner that appropriates you to your stature. When he speaks, he actually looks you in the eye and not at your cleavage. He asks some questions about your work, tells you how he noticed your input after talking to the CEO, another golfing buddy, and comes charmingly close to calling your boss an incompetent doofus. Ooh. Oh, baby. Heck yeah. All the while, you are trying to guess his accent, but you can't quite place it. European, sure, but from where? I know I've kept you long enough, but would you indulge me and join me for a drink? Of course, for a minute there, it seemed like he wasn't that kind of guy. But what the hell, you go with it. He seems nice enough. Besides, it's not like you have other plans. The investor has a limo waiting downstairs, and the driver takes you to a high-end restaurant in Williamsburg. A seat is waiting for you in a deluxe lounge? It's just the two of you. You talk about this and that. Your companion seems to have a knack for history. So tell me, what would you do if you had full control of the company? You almost choke your wine. This is your chance. You say what's been on your mind for months, but hide it behind a veneer of a professional corp babble. Refocusing, listening to your instincts for once. Restructuring, kicking out your boss aggressively. Pursuing new markets, getting the hell away from all these horrible people. He likes the sound of it. He leans forward, his eyes flash with intensity and something else, a strange emotion that wasn't there before. You'll do just fine. His words echo inside your head as you black out. You wake up, God only knows how much later. As you try to piece together what happened, you hear a familiar voice. The investor, or whoever the hell he is, talking to someone. You suddenly recall snippets, fragmented memories, his sapphire eyes intently locking within yours, his teeth suddenly longer and sharper, and something else, a feeding on your neck that takes you back to your last orgasm. A company trip to Florida, a sweaty room, a cutie from HR who doesn't even work there anymore, and then darkness. Yes, I'm done here. Consider my debt paid. The investor pushes the other figure aside and walks away from the lounge, barely bothering to look at you. The door locks behind him. Some time passes before you find the strength to get up from the couch. You touch your lips. Blood. Did that asshole hit you? You try to stand up, but your head is pounding and your stomach is like a heavy knot pulling you down. You don't even have that. You didn't have that much to drink. You must have spiked your wine. This is bad. You frantically check your clothes. Pristine. Doesn't make any sense. All of a sudden, a feeling hits you unlike anything you've ever felt before. You fall to the floor, writhing in an all-encompassing pain and hunger. The kind that makes your insides burn. That cannot be denied. Try to calm yourself down with the breath exercise they taught you in some bullshit mindfulness course. That's when it hits you. You're not breathing. Holy shit! Should your heart be jumping out of your chest with that realization? But it's not moving. Not having a beat. The door unlocks. You hear a startling voice. A young man in a waiter's outfit. His accent thick with the Eastern European harshness. Leans over and asks you if you're alright. For a brief moment, you wonder, what the hell is he doing here? Everything is wrong. Then his smell reaches your nostrils. It's intoxicating. Everything feels right again. He holds out his arm to help you stand up. You grab it firmly with both hands, and then you bite down. You sink your teeth right in next to his old school pinup tattoo of Rita Hayworth on his forearm. It takes you a moment to process what you're doing. A part of you wants to break away, but a stronger voice implores you to keep drinking. One thing becomes clear. You are definitely enjoying this. He only struggles a little and quickly falls to his knees. You can see his eyes now, pale blue and confused. You only bring yourself to let go once he collapses onto the floor. Your bite leaves a mess on his forearm. Poor Rita, all bloodied, missing half her face. Did you just drink this guy's blood? Oh, snapperino. Everything's going a little crazy. You spit out a piece of torn flesh. That's... why? Where? What was in that fucking wine? Barely able to focus, your heart and your lungs still motionless. You reach for your phone, dial 911.
911 operator, what's your emergency?
Actually, I think it's... Nope.
Is this one? Yeah, that one. This one. 911 operator, what's your emergency?
I can't breathe. My heart... I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Madam, where are you right now?
The door to the lounge swings open. The man who enters is not the one who brought you here, though there are similarities. He's tall for one, broad-shouldered, handsome, dressed in an immaculate suit, but his skin is darker, and the look in his face tells you he's not here to negotiate a deal. He notices the smartphone in your hand. Pass me the phone if you want to live. The man's voice is persuasive, calm, but carries clear threat. He's got an aura of a viciously effective corporate shark. you find it hard to argue with him.
Ma'am? Hello?
I apologize for wasting your time. My new colleague got drunk and is now trying to impress everyone with her antics. Good night. He disconnects the call and places your phone in his pocket. For whatever reason, you can barely take your eyes off the stranger. As hypnotizing as his presence is, though, it is also highly discomforting. Good evening, miss. I'm here to pick you up. Pick me up? Pick me up? Did I stutter? The stranger approaches the waiter and examines his body. Critical condition, but he might live. Anyway, he then sets his sights on you. I know this is all new to you, but I've dealt with hundreds of strays like you. I'm going by experience. They tend to fall into two categories. First, there are the smart ones who carefully obey my every word and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on. The wise guys that tried to contact somebody secretly without permission. The troublemakers who tried to run off or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reached their destination at all. His voice becomes slightly bored and monotone. You can tell he's given this speech before, like dozens of times. So, you see, while I generally consider myself pretty smart, I'm also a Mets fan. It's one of my true weaknesses, one that inspires me to come up with a three-strike system when dealing with pups like you. If you get on my nerves once or twice, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful situations. But cross me 3 times and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy. He's talking. He slowly approaches you, adding a bit of theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leans in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize it's a test. He's daring you to do something about it. 3 strikes, and you're out. Say, I understand, sir. Now. Every atom of your being screaming for you to obey his authority. I understand, sir. Stick to that tone, and you'll do just fine. Moving on. Is there anyone you'd like that you'd want to inform of your current situation? Tell them you're all right. He flashes his fangs briefly for some reason. The slight scent of a chill down your spine. There's something very wrong about him. Someone closest to you? There's no one. No, I don't have anyone. The stranger squints at you. No family, no lover, no friends, nothing. A job. Your blank stare tells him the whole story. He immediately stops prying and gives you something even worse than a look. A look of pity. A look of honest compassion. Dang. Well, that makes things simpler. Let me be crystal clear, just in case. From this point on, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under. You'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know that you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes looking for you, it's over for both you and them. That practiced tone again. You put your poker face and listen in silence. So, unless you want your boss to end up at the bottom of the Hudson, I suggest you cooperate. Don't tempt me. He smiles, revealing his fangs again. There's something absolutely sickening about it. Suddenly, you feel overwhelmed by a sense of exhaustion. You pass out. When you regain your senses, you find yourself in a stranger's arms. The man is holding you as you were a spouse who had a little too much to drink. You try to break free, but he holds you close and gives you a cautioning look. Only when you cease to struggle does he let you go. Only now do you notice the change in scenery. You find yourself in a fancy lobby, right next to an elevator. The place is virtually empty, save for a single concierge and some cleaning staff. Your companion gestures at the concierge as you pass, and he picks up the phone. The elevator arrives, the door opens, and a man motions towards the cabin. After you. Where are we going? To a safe place. That's all you need to know. Trust me, you do not want to make this difficult. Just get in. Step inside the elevator. Going against your instincts, you enter the cabin. Smooth jazz is playing over the speakers as the elevator starts to descend. You're dazzled, panicky, somehow locked in place. On the one hand, you find the stranger's presence oddly soothing. On the other, you can feel your body tensing up with stress. You can't help but look back to the young waiter, the doe-eyed look in his face, the confusion look he gave you just before. No, it's better not to think about it. Plus, you have other things to worry about, like the fact you're being kidnapped. The cabin door opens to the same garage you arrived at with the investor some hours ago. A man shows up, shows you a black Cadillac Escalade. I know what you're thinking. Getting to a car with some strange man? Boy, seems like a dumb idea. Maybe I can make a run for it. I might be able to lose him. So, let me be perfectly clear. Your best bet is to get in, relax, and enjoy the ride. The waiter? Do you think the waiter upstairs, is he gonna be alright? Yes. You look him in the eye and can immediately tell he's lying. No questions. Get in the car, please. Alright, get in the car. It seems like the worst idea ever, but the man made it very clear that you have no choice in the matter. Are you going to hurt me? No. Not tonight, at the very least. Unless you make me. He takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch. Listen, you really need to quit stalling. We're on a bit of a schedule here. The sun comes up in about 2 hours, and I don't intend to be here when it does. The sun? What does it matter when the sun comes up? Ah, you really don't know, do you? Good thing I got here when I did. He opens the car door and gestures towards it. You see no point in delaying the inevitable, so you get in. The door locks behind you. The Cadillac is almost entirely black. The side windows are light-proof. The man gets in the driver's seat and starts the engine and drives away without another word. Did I die? Depends on your definition of death. Listen, I realize you have many questions. Tomorrow, you will get some answers. But tonight, you need to do what I say, and right now, I need some quiet, please. You feel too confused to protest. You stay silent for the rest of the ride. Even more questions bubble up on the surface, one of them being, did you actually kill someone tonight? Staring out the window, you find it hard to focus and quickly lose track of where you're headed. You can only tell that you haven't left Manhattan. Another underground parking, almost featureless, empty. The car stops and the man opens the door for you. We're here. The stranger walks you to the nearby door. He opens it and motions for you to get in. Go in, make yourself comfortable. If you get hungry again, take a look in the fridge. I'll come pick you up tomorrow and you'll get your answers. Behind the door is a small room. No windows, just a simple bed and a single light bulb hanging from a ceiling. A small fridge is humming away at the corner, occupied by a rattling AC fan in the wall. Where are you going? I have to make some arrangements. For tomorrow, of course. Look, this room is your best chance of seeing another night. I realize that you've been put in a problematic situation, and it's not entirely your fault. Cooperate, and you might still make it. You will learn more tomorrow. But for the time being, get in and get cozy. He gestures inside the room. Step into the room. You step inside. The stranger nods. Good night. He locks the door behind you. It is very sturdy. You open the fridge and there's a single plastic bag there. You filled with the red liquid. No label. Tomato soup? You feel sick to your stomach. Best to leave it for tomorrow. You lie down in the bed. It's a simple mattress on a metal frame. At least it's not too flimsy. You think back to how this evening began. The investor is a friend with the dark-skinned stranger who picked you up from the restaurant? What happens now? Unable to relax, you spend an hour or so playing with various scenarios in your head. Eventually you decide to give in and let exhaustion take over. Whatever tomorrow brings, you'd rather face it well rested. Plus, there's no way in hell your boss is going to notice your absence tomorrow. That and maybe some of the restaurant staff will feel a pang of conscience. Someone will notify the police. Someone will find you. Right? You flash back to the waiter's tattoo. The bloody Rita Hayworth winking at you over the pale mess of a wound. You did this. You bit him. You drank his blood. And it tasted good. What if you can never go home again? You're so tired. Your entire body tenses up one last time, and before you know it, you drift away into oblivion. You wake up. That in itself is a surprise. You barely remember when you drifted off. It didn't feel quite like sleep. More like pummeling into an endless void. You imagine that's how death feels like. The room is unchanged. The lamp is still on, the AC is still rattling, the refrigerator is still humming. You take a look at your watch. It's almost 9 p.m. You slept for 17 hours straight. Maybe you died? Your breath is gone. You feel no thumping in your chest. Does that qualify as dead if you're still conscious? You're not sure about that, but you are certain about the one thing. You are hungry. And it's not your stomach rumbling, though. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and in the back of your head. You open the fridge, the bag is still there. Take a closer look at it. If it's soup, and its color and texture are off, you pull a cork out, take a whiff. You recognize the smell immediately. Holy shit! There's no mistaking it. It's bagged blood. The smell is faint, and you remember some situation in the past where you found it nauseating, but now it's almost... No, not almost. It is enticing. Drink the blood! Drink it! You gotta become a survivor, man. It feels wrong. But right now, there's barely anything anything in your life that doesn't. To hell with it. You pour a bit of liquid onto your mouth. It tastes like shit. It's coppery, thick, and clings to your tongue and the inside of your mouth like a firm dirt. You swallow hard regardless. It tastes foul, but somehow you kind of want more of it. As the second sip sucking the blood out of the bag, you feel something pulling your insides. You double over. You're going to barf. You instinctively cover your mouth, looking at the place to vomit. Before you find it, a dark red wave rushes over your hand and finger. It hits the floor, splattering a thick drop. You keep heaving for a moment longer. Nothing is coming out. Not blood, not bite, not even spit. Or bile, not even spit. But something in your body wants to push it out. Push it, all of it out. Every last drop. As you recover, you wipe the droplet of regurgitated blood from your dress. And you lock, click. You hear the door open. Standing there is a well-dressed stranger you met yesterday. Immaculate suit again. That predator look. Like a hawk on the hunt. But somehow more relaxed tonight. So, like a tame hawk, maybe? Good evening. How was... He notices the splatter, your red hand. The sick look on your face. He barely contains a smirk. Oh. Was the catering unable to satisfy your exquisite taste? Apologies. Offer him a drink. You can't tell me you drink this. He takes the bag off your hands and pours all the contents in his mouth, closes his eyes, theatrically savoring the taste. Then he opens a few seconds later and looks sharper, energized. Not all of us are picky eaters. Come on. We've got places to be. We should have some water and towels in the back of the car so you can clean yourself up. The car in the empty parking lot just outside the doors of a cramped room you just spent the day in. The man motioned to it politely but with a stern look in his face. Hijack the car. Wow, these are like really crazy. I mean, at this point, you got to imagine like this is a pretty smart lady. Obviously everything's kind of like falling apart around her, but she's got to go to where she's got to get answers. So like rush the stranger, hijack the car, those are just not logical answers at this point. Clearly, if I were to rationalize this, I would just play along until I get to wherever somebody can tell me something. So why would I ever want to hijack a car or rush the stranger or anything like that? It's silly. It's silly. Boo-doo. Noodoo. It's not like I have a choice, right? Correct. But your cooperation is appreciated, nevertheless. He takes the back seat again. The door locks, and the stranger takes the wheel and starts the car. You drive in silence for a while. From time to time, you keep trying to glimpse the familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's little use. The car is also soundproof, so all you can hear is a bit of traffic humming in the car engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked, all right. You piece the dark glass separating you and the front of the car. Looks sturdy too. There is nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry. No, not exactly. It's not a rumble stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need to start somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, your back, the head. You become restless. This is essentially a kidnapping. Whatever this guy says about its purpose, it doesn't change the fact that you're being held against your will. And you're not used to following orders when you can't delegate them to somebody else. You feel a need to get semblance of control over the situation. So you decide to prove yourself useful. I have a worthwhile skill set. Listen, I'm an investment advisor. I have a lot of experience in fine tech. Whatever your organization is, it might find use for me. I don't even have an idea what the fine tech is, honestly, and I don't care to find out. A short pause. I'll be frank. Currently, you're in no position to offer anyone anything. Sooner you accept that, the better. Ridicules lack of ambition. Big words coming from somebody's dedicated errand boy. I wonder if you've ever achieved anything. You push the right buttons. He gives you an absolute furious stare through the rear view mirror. For a second, you spot a crack in his professional demeanor. You don't know anything about me. You have no idea where I'm coming from or where I'm headed. For a few seconds, he is quite fumes. Your attitude won't help you make any friends, and in your current position, you definitely need some. Consider that. Preferably in silence. That dull hunger strikes again. The powerlessness hurts. You're used to people listening to you, or pretend they care about your demands at least. The driver doesn't play that game and annoys you to no end. It takes you another 20 or so minutes to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York. That's much is certain. Queens, maybe? After me. No sudden movements, please. You approach a nice-looking building that houses two-story gala called the Art Hole. Two large men in suits flank the door on both sides, and they give you your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by strangers guiding you, you walked inside. Ooh, look at that. Look at all the artwork. The gallery is full, which is unusual at the house at this hour, to say the least. After 24 faces fill the showroom, a number of waiters navigating the gathering serve drinks. All of them are breath of guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the wall, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You seem open, competent of a few faces, and the animated interest on others. Most of the eyes of the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to praise your worth. This reminds you of your corporate meetings. You, the only woman in the room, silently judge not on her merits, but her standings on the list, passing in cadence emails, threads between you and your male coworkers, until HR finds out. That is not the most pleasant experience, but there's no denying it. Taught you resilience. When others would cower, you would straighten up. When others would turn their gaze, you meet their eyes, and the gallery guests with confidence. Good evening, Quar. And you, child. The noble cold voice takes you out of your head and back to situation at hand. The gallery. A crowd filled with strangers, you being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss. You are addressing the Prince of New York City, Helen Panhan, child of Michela. Thank you, my sheriff, but I'm capable of introducing myself. She seems somehow plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still the entire room is intently focusing on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear. You may address me as Prince, child. I realize your introduction into unlife was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictates I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathering audience. But I'm willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. Remain silent. You decide it's best to stay silent and listen to the whole situation unfold. It feels like you're out of your depth here. Shall we begin? You are about to be judged by the Court of New York City. Qatar? Please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe? A trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about the suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigation, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. A reservation made to the private lounge of the Panacart suggests that one sire has plenty of resources to spend. Peregrine? I don't even know what that is. I gotta look that up later. However, they are apparently also well connected. I lost track of them. Despite some reservations, he's offered little resistance last night and cooperating on our own way to a safe house. I was pleased to not have to force her compliance. Opening the door to the safe house tonight, I was greeted by a most disturbing sight of her drenched in regurgitated blood. Apparently, the black blood supply we kept in the fridge was not to her liking. The remarks, edicts, contemptuous chuckle from one of the gathering guests as I note the remains of the blood on your skirt. It was not an elegant sight, but it was hardly a matter, I suppose. Moving on. We had a quick chat, but wishes to appear here post haste. I urged her to join me, which she did without struggle. A pleasant departure from my usual routine, I must say. During the drive, she showed me her fangs, metaphorically speaking, posturing as if we were equals, insulting me when it didn't work. I refrained from causing her physical harm, but I expect her ego might be a bit bruised. He looks at you and flashes a nasty smile. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman with curly, almost blood red hair and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is he, you wonder? Thank you, Kadar. I note that this fledgling behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there's a matter of your sire. The person who brought you where Qatar picked you up last night. Who were they? A handsome businessman? An entrepreneur. Acquaintance of my boss, I think. Good looking, pale blue eyes, some gray in his hair. Charming, abusive, cold son of a bitch. You feel tired and angry. The whole situation, spending the day in some underground parking lot, having to bear the looks of the room full of strangers. It's almost too much to take in stride. There's no reason you should take this all in stride, but you do. Because if there's one thing your professional career has taught you, that's that. Because of that asshole, whoever he was, he will never even give you a name or card, nothing. Well, Qatar, does that sound familiar? No, it does not, or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. He talked to somebody at the restaurant. That man, he talked to somebody at the restaurant before he left. I can't remember what he said, but he wasn't alone. Maybe that's a lead you can follow? Did he now? That is interesting. I do hope that the proprietor won't stay mad at us for losing one of his staff. It's almost like he knows the waiter's fate is still bothering you and takes pleasure in pointing it out. Thank you for that observation. I will investigate it later. What shall I do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendations, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt not sire another without the permission of thy elder. If thou createst without withstand thy elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Kadar. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone's in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom, and about 6 people follow her. You're about to ask Qatar what all the talk of traditions and council was when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie? Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Qatar. We all know that the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stay in your hands tonight after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for dominance. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps outside the room the way you came, and you're left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eye of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you're quite the pickle. Quite the pickle. Maybe you tell me what the hell this is? I'll be more. What do you mean? I still don't understand what my crime is here. Poor thing. There's really isn't your fault, but if you want to get out of here in one piece, you'll need to understand one critical fact that seems to have eluded your grasp. Last night, you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I am well aware of how ridiculous that sounds, and it's the reason why we have all these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains that beings called vampires. You're looking at them. They're us. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you and your hustle tone. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most holding glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness, and not the right color either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes some morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night. There's no denying it. Your breathing hasn't returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice keeps on saying, "What the fuck? What the fuck?" on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Kadar deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we want to do nothing, you'll be cut down as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance. A way out. Under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight. And Guitar complains about your behavior won't influence her judgment. This society values docility. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I don't make this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. What happens if I agree? Suppose I say yes. What happens then? You survive. Hopefully. Or not, depending on the prince's whim. I'm giving you a chance. Not a guarantee. But if you take me as your patron, I will guide you in this new reality. And you will assist me like a child would a sire. Steps of hushing voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council has returned to the showroom. Tar appears downstairs as well, starting to walk towards you. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared, and I will intervene. Remember my conditions. She flashes a heart-meddling smile towards Kadar, who does not smile back. The sheriff, immaculate suit, is now complemented by a curved, ornate-looking metal scabbard fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vulgarly ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadar takes his place next to you and observes the princess take center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gather here tonight. I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. Their behavior since embrace has been disagreeable, and that does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society. You are all keenly aware that these nights we are not to close our ranks and trust the wisdom in our elders and traditions more than ever before. As our trusted sheriff pointed out, there can only be one course of action. Though I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinion on this. She takes a sharp look at one of the people who left the room before, at some plain dressed, shy looking man whose skin is somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over the fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that shall be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently, Kadar. You hear the scabbard switch, and the sheriff has unsheathed this curved sword. It is beautiful, detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. It appears sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs. Bottom of the ninth. He quietly mumbles his audible to nobody but you. His eyes meet yours. You note just a hint of sadness in his countenance. Countenance? One that quickly vanishes to give way to grim demeanor. And he's out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up. Ask for mercy. You make your choice. Spare me, please. Don't make me beg, goddammit. Prince, if I may ask you to stay your sheriff's hand for a while longer? Qatar looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at the moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley? Yes, if I may. At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at this distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The bored elites suddenly look at you with an arousing interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophia takes a step forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadar's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of this distraction. What's up? My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our law. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance, they will become an asset to our domain. I understand you are volunteering to take this unruly child under your protection. Yes, I'm willing to give them a chance to prove that the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectation. I will take nothing less than their full cooperation, naturally. Whispers can be heard again. Dread, no. No. Nope, not gonna happen, dude. Not tonight. Not gonna tolerate that shit. Whispers can be heard again. Voices or two. A hush. Just behead the fucker. Some suppress examination of surprise. Silence. I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in the child's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Until progeny shall be released, thou shalt commit them to in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. But I will like to receive the right of destruction over them, if it pleases you. Remain silent. Its clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discuss your death, or second death, apparently, and keep silent. You decide it's best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. Prince looks at you with the weight of your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known, Sophie Langley of the Clan of Rose will become the fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and child. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she fits to use it. Let my intentions be clear. However, if I am not to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla. Substantially so. I hope you find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley. Of course, my prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your child's name? Christine. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Christine. Now that everything is proven to be most eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can be concluded. Thank you for all appearing in such a short notice. Give my regards to those who can't make it. Kadar, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties. Of course, Prince. He shoots you a single glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched. You will be judged. And if you need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. Well, Christine, I think we both already managed to sufficiently improve each other's evenings. But let's keep the ball rolling, shall we? I think we should have a toast to our new fruitful partnership. She raises her hand with the well-dressed congregates who have reappeared in the showroom, refilled the guest glasses. The conventional handsome man approaches with a carré of red liquid. The memory of throw up in the safe house is still fresh in your mind, but the idea that it could happen again is almost anything to reject the drink altogether. But there's no denying you want it. Need it. I remember Qatar saying your misadventures before getting into the car. Some of us have more delicate palates than others. Try to take a small sip. Sivon plat. He pours 2 glasses and you briefly wait until your hands to drink. Your attention is full on it. The fact that it's blood, you are certain of it, doesn't faze you this time. It's difficult to take a sip. Even though the taste is foul as before, you temper to down the whole glass all in one go. You wait before taking a second taste. You're glad you did. A feeling like heartburn signals you that you can't keep it down. You spit it back in your glass. Sophie looks on, intrigued. I'm not surprised. The NYC caterings have more bulgarish ideas about what good blood should taste like. Well, you just need to keep trying. As Sophie's request, the Convergence serves you 3 other variants of blood. The first 2 are horrible and indigestible as before, both ending up back in the wine glasses within moments of tasting them. Before the third try, you're almost ready to throw the glass at the wall in frustration, but finally, this one's different. Instead of the mud and decay, it's a surprisingly rich bouquet of taste. You feel blissful at ease. Sophie takes notice. Ah, there it is, Jacob. Would you kindly let us know who the donor was? Leave the bottle, please. The concierge nods and leaves again. You take another sip, and another, and empties the glass. The dull feeling in your stomach and head starts subsiding, but you still want more. Sophie pours another glass and refills it and takes a sip. You have a curious specific taste, Christine. It is the clover notes. The traces of caffeine or the bitter aftertaste of melancholy. You taste nothing but a kind, but it doesn't matter. It's tasty, but not as delicious as it was last night. Not as intoxicating. It managed to silence the hunger somewhat, though. Drinking blood puts you at ease. It's strange. It's a strange realization. The man named Jacob comes with a small card and leaves it with Sophie. She takes a quick look and passes it on to you. It's somebody's medical detail. An office worker, male, Caucasian, 32, blood type ABRH+, blue eyes, brown hair, no history, substance abuse, New Jersey native. Might one of these details what makes the difference? Now that we have picked the right bouquet for your palate, these documents should be useful to indicate your exact taste. Should they be OR plus or Juicy Boys? I believe you have some more questions. No? Perhaps we should start with those relevant to substance. How will I know what I can drink? These difficulties of mine. How do I navigate that? How will I know what kind of blood I can drink? It's a tricky question. I believe you will just have to trust your instincts on it. With time, you should be able to narrow down your particular preference. Blood that you reject is, of course, of no value to you. It is a horrible waste. No amount of it will ever save your hunger completely, but every little sip counts. If you're frugal or forced by circumstance, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky, and it will tempt the beast as a part of our curse. It will take some time to find the right balance. Tomorrow I shall take you hunting and we'll explore this topic further, but you should be good for now. You mentioned a beast? That beast you mentioned, is that a metaphor or... Oh, it's quite real. Although not in the strict physical sense, it lives in all of us. Our nature, a hunger manifest. Those religious amongst us connected to a biblical Cain. The rage of the first murder, cursed by God, seething in all of his descendants. I, however, am a child of the Enlightenment. Not that it makes my struggle any easier. I have to be wary like every other kindred in the city and beyond. Individual kindred have a unique relationship with their beast. What yours is going to be remains to be seen. But you do not need to keep it under control. But you do need to keep it under control. Each outburst endangers not just you, but also the Masquerade. The concierge returns, asking permission to intrude, with Sophie gives with a polite smile, and leans into a whisper in her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told the gallery is about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to the one to my apartment. My jalopy. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. The smile she puts on could tip any negotiating towards her favor. Her words are like honey, and she makes it impossible to take your eyes off her. You are under her spell, momentarily. Sophia leads you to a luxury silver Rolls Royce, invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? I believe I was telling you a bit more of our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the Masquerade. As you might have gathered from us assembling at the niche gala after closing time, our coming, goings, and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myth and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts. So, to the vast majority of kind, we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Say, is that one television show about vampire angels still popular? You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, looking a bit more dejected than before. Our clandestine ways helps us remain safe. Allows us to explain away the occasional trip up to the rational minds of 21st century humanity. The delicate much of our interaction with mortals. Oh, wait. What about my career then? So, what you're saying is, who I have become must remain a secret. What about my job then? My career, is it over? Just like that? Not necessarily, but you will need to step lightly. It goes without saying that you will need an explanation for your disappearance, and it will be a far more nights before I let you go it alone. You might be one of the kindred now, but that comes with some caveat. For one, sunlight burns us. That's why we rest during the day. You felt it. More like being dead than being dormant, isn't it? Some more folk relate threats are just legend or occasionally a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water, even religious symbols don't repel us unless it's wielded by unique, pure, or godly. Stakes through the heart, that is something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze, which, under the right circumstances, can often be the same thing. That's the reason to have somebody like me, as like my trusted driver, Gregory, to make sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantages lies within daylight. How can you trust your driver? Your driver must know who he works for, right? I mean, he's right there. Surely he can hear everything we're saying. How can you trust him to keep your secret? His loyalty is asserted by partaking in my blood, but his loyalty extends beyond just this dependency, as I'm sure he'll be happy to tell you if you ask. It's a nice change of pace. Our little sect supplies social interactive aplenty, but it doesn't really encourage counting on someone, support given in exchange for favors. Yes, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politically organized by necessity. Loyalty is your sire to your prince and to your sect. When you're Elysium, like you were tonight, the sect can appear to be a monolith. The reality is more complex. Outside the official gathering, shady deals and a quid pro quo mentality remains supreme. She seems to be lost in her thoughts and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've just learned tonight. It feels absolutely unreal. But as a piece after piece of knowledge falls in your place, you imagine becoming almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whether you would believe on your own, you've just witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the only one that keeps returning is what your place in this new reality should be. Your car stops here in the city, in front of an old but well renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodging? Is this another parking lot room? Is this another drab safe room in the underground parking lot for my safety and all that? But don't be ridiculous. You're not a sireless fledgling in Qatar's stern grass anymore. And even if he wouldn't hold you there any longer than necessary, I think. Come upstairs. She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs to the second floor. Sophie opens the room 209. Inside are all the amendments you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room has a comfortable looking bed and a steel door with several sturdy locks and windows. Well, how do you like it? This is great, thank you. I'm glad. Make yourself at home. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set, and we'll come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back door for your rest. You can lock the door just in case. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly becomes a few shades dimmer. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. Just no regular food either. You feel strange that Kadar could be more thoughtful host than your new sire, even if only in the respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Kojak returns. President of the United States got himself in serious trouble again. President of the United States got himself out of trouble again. Pundits start yelling at each other about things that seem little less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusion, conversation, and worldview, shattering revelations. How many more before you finally understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you wanted to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for it either. As you start to feel the same tiredness you drift into the cold sleep of night. You settle into the back room. The bed is comforting. The lack of windows, less so. You leave the light bulb on, staring at as you realize that the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breeze summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A minute later, your consciousness fades into the plunge of darkness again. Sinking. 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 Well now. Everything's coming up, Millhouse. Pretty cruise control as far as the beginning game. I understand that probably a lot of you going through the same thing in your playthroughs. So I thank you for hanging out. appreciate everybody sticking with this awesome playthrough. I mean, nothing to be nothing to be said except for, you know, typical comeuppance. Typical comeuppance. Yeah, we'll see how this all unfolds. This is definitely kind of a you know, a standard playthrough from what it looks like. So we'll continue. Hopefully it gives us a little bit of more like wiggle room to really kind of flex my authority. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting to be like, I have something in my arsenal so that I can start really flexing my Ventru muscles. That's what I'm like waiting for. The reason why I'm just kind of going cruise control right now is because I have no authority, I have no power, I have nothing to show for me. I was dead the moment I walked into that court. But now that I've been given a chance, this is the time to slowly build up the arsenal, build up that you know, conglomerate of power and influence to be like, Mithras be praised. Oh wow, look at that. Tutorial. The hunger is the heart of a vampire's existence. To ignore it is to tempt the beast and take over your desire to feed. To overindulge in feeding may threaten the masquerade while sustaining what humanity you have left. In Coteries of New York, having high hunger is indicated by a progressively thicker blood frame around the screen like the one you see. As your hunger grows, so does the indicator. Your hunger may increase when you call upon your vampiric powers. So when you need to mend your wounds after a fight, when your hunger reaches a maximum level, you will receive a warning after you complete a piece of the story. Ignore it at your own peril. Some choices might only become visible if your hunger is high enough. Similarly, high hunger may block off certain choices, as you'll be able to see after pressing continue. Block off option. Oh, okay. To decrease your hunger, you will need to feed. Whenever you see a feeding opportunity, you will take the risk to hunt and stake your hunger. Feeding opportunity. You will need to keep your hunger at bay if you are able to uphold the masquerade and survive the nights that await you. You open your eyes. The bed isn't warm. The room is filled with artificial light from the ceiling. The solid metal door is closed. Normally, you'd stretch for a bit. On some mornings, you'll just probably throw the quilt over yourself and snooze a moment longer. But that was before. The way you woke up now, you're fully conscious, no grogginess, nothing weighing you down, just a nagging need in the back of your head. Hunger. Not as severe as last night, but unmistakably there. You get up, open the door to the main room. A digital clock on the TV shows the time, 9:04. You walk over to the blinds, retract them cautiously. The only light comes in the NYC's artificial nighttime luminescence. So that's what your waking hours are going to be like now. You miss sunlight already. You're seriously considering just walking out of the apartment and figuring this all out yourself, but then you came back to the memory of Godar's exotic sword being raised in the gallery. Maybe sticking around isn't that bad of an idea after all. You keep jumping channels for around half an hour and then switch to streaming service, almost as if the universe had a sense of irony. You catch True Blood in the floor of the recommendation, the flood of recommendations. The doorbell rings. It's Sophie. Good evening, Christine. Slept well? Um, it's not exactly sleep, right? I suppose it isn't. Some say it's more like being dead, but we wouldn't know, would we? There's no use reflecting on it anyway. Except that is who we are now. You made the right choice yesterday. I can teach you many things about yourself. Your blood, its desires, its powers. We will begin tonight. Are you hungry? Yes, I'm sure you are. Our kind always is. There is only one remedy: the blood. The drink we had yesterday at Elysium are not the usual way you stake your hunger. So tonight I will assist you in your first foray into hunting. You need to learn to sense your kind of blood you desire, to understand how you can use the kind's vulnerabilities to your advantage. I'm ready to learn. Such eagerness. Or is it your hunger making you impatient? You will find that drinking moderate amounts of regularly will keep the hunger and the whispers of the beast away. You might think yourself monstrous, but there's a balance to be found here. The kiss gives the kind pleasure. You might remember this from your own embrace. Some can even become addicted to the sensation, but if you do it right, you tend to be misremembered your feelings. Or your feelings. After all, vampires don't exist. They are myth, fairy tales, and pop culture misdays. Correct? She gives you a slight knowing smile. That is why the masquerade is so important, and even more critical when you feed. How do you select your victims? Are they better or worse targets? Isolate kind are easily prey, of course, but much more depends on context. Hunting requires a different approach in a busy club than it does on an empty street. With time, you'll have the luxury of finding your preference in hunting methods and prey. For now, access experimenting in moderation. Feeding from the same area repeatedly can be dangerous, but by bracing out, you risk the ire of other kindred on whose domains you trespass. Lucky for you, NYC is more forgiving in this regard. New York is in somewhat unique position. Many of these neighborhoods remain contested or unclaimed. The reason for this is a lesson for another time, but keep the following in mind. Take opportunity to feed when they present themselves these upcoming nights. As long as you hunt cautiously and respect the masquerade at all times, you should be fine. DeWitt, I want you to join me for a trip tonight. Come downstairs. Gregory is waiting for us. The busy street fills the air with traffic noise, pedestrian chatter, and a mix of smells that disorients you momentarily. These warm bodies contain what you want, what you need. You catch yourself. Did you really just think of these people as mere sources of blood? It takes a nudge from Sophie to break your train of thought. Her driver opens the door for her and then tips his hat to you, gesturing to the back of the car. The car casually joins the somewhat thinning New York traffic. It's busy, still busy in a way only one of the biggest cities in the world can be, but compared to the daytime commute, it's a pleasant drive. You barely have time to gather your thoughts and formulate new questions before the car comes to a stop. You're among the tall skyscrapers that make up Manhattan's iconic skyline. Come, Christine, park the car, Gregory, will you? The driver just nods and Sophie gets out. You join her, and the two of you walk through the glass door together and then take the elevator up. You first notice an empty stage with the instruments of a string quartet still in the back. Then take in a few dozen chairs in the front. The concert seemingly concluded, the patrons, all smartly dressed and polished, having spread out all over the hall. Sophie strides in confidence aside, produces an invitation from her purse that she flashes in front of the security guard. You follow closely and are let through without issue. Let's start easy. A social setting like this one would usually provide quite a challenge to inexperienced kindred, but considering this event a small gift from your patron, I'm hoping to procure you a willing vessel. Just remember what I told you about taking small sips. This one I have a soft spot for. Don't damage her. Now, let's see here. Ah, there he is. She notices somebody in the crowd, flashing a heart-melting smile, and suddenly even you feel drawn to her. You haven't thought about it before, but it's laid clear before you in this moment. Sophie is beautiful. Just looking at her is a privilege. Just being with her makes you feel elated. Everybody in the crowd, but especially the man who's almost tipping over himself to reach her, clearly agrees. Let's see. Is her eyes glowing? Anything going on with her eyes? Yeah, they're glowing. Her eyes are glowing. Cool. She's using powers. Edgar, I'm so happy to see you. How's your daughter? Is she with you? Oh, there she is, Julie. My girl, come here. Please. There's somebody I'd like you to meet. A young woman walks across the hall. Can't be more than 19 years old. It's clear from her mismatched earrings and the partly faded purple hair dye that she does not fit in this crowd. Julie, this is Christine. I think you two should get acquainted while I talk business with your dad. Awfully boring stuff, I assure you. I'm positive you'll like each other. The girl gives you a shy smile and nods towards the balcony stairs. You follow, somewhat unsure what exactly Sophie expects you to do. You reach the secluded space from which the entire lobby is visible, and eyes are on Sophie. They listen intently and laugh when she does. Julie saves you the trouble of figuring out the next step. Oh wow, she's just like there. Okay. If you're with Sophie, then I guess you're I mean that you know. She pulls her wrist to her lips and gives herself a theatrical nip, then looks at you embarrassedly but also hopeful. Oh wait, you're into that sort of thing? She blushes, looks down at the floor, nods. Could you, I mean, if you're like Miss Langley tells me she shallows hard, avoiding your eyes, that I taste nice? Drink. You take her forearm to your hand. You quickly look around, confirming nobody's watching. You see and no security cameras covering the area. You bite down gently. It's surreal. She just give you her blood on her own volition. How is this possible? What about the masquerade? You need to ask Sophie. You tear away from her. A brief convulsion shakes you. Her smell, it's not right. You temporarily feel the bliss of the girl fed, and when you bite into her, is gone in an instant. She's disappointed, annoyed even. She looks at you, unsure what's the matter. Come back, please. Just have some more. Just a little bit more. The very thought makes you want to throw up a little bit of her blood that you tasted. You shake your head. The girl sniffs, starts crying, wipes her face into her jacket sleeves, and walks down the stairs into the hall. The crowd around Sophie dissipates slowly. Looking at her now, only some residue awe hangs in the air. Yes, she's pretty, maybe even beautiful, sure, but not your type. What came over you before? You walk over to her. Edgar, dear, it's just splendid talking to you, but we need to get going. Give Julia my best wishes. Come with Christine. Gregory is waiting for you at the front, and only in the car that Sophie addresses you. So how did it go? I tried, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't stand the smell or the taste. Curious, considering Julia's blood has one of the most exquisite and unique bouquets in the city. And trust me, I have refined tastes. She almost sounds like she's offended. Oh well, at first you don't succeed. Perhaps you'll need a change of pace. Time for the next stop. Trains will off this time. Gregory, Flushing Meadows, please. The driver takes the car over to Williamsburg Bridge. You settle your thoughts. What did you do with the people back? What about that training wheel? Why Flushing Meadows? Other than the fact that the Unisphere is beautiful at this time of night, it's great hunting grounds on which to try out some of the talents of the blood. We all have our talents. Some of them come from the legacy we inherit from our sire. Others can be learned with experience. I can sway people and make them fear me. I see more of the world in greater detail than some kindred. I can will my body to move at unparalleled precision and grace, and more. All these skills make me who I am. They also help me hunt. Do I need my powers then? What are my powers? Okay, so what are my talents? Time will tell. You need to discover them yourself. When we arrive, experiment. Give different things a try. Follow your instincts and intuition. It will guide the blood. Always keep the masquerade in mind. However, it is fine if you can disappear in plain sight or command animals with your mind, but save those overt talents for the right place and time. It only takes you half an hour to reach the park at this time of night. Both you and Sophie leave the car with Gregory left behind again to find a parking spot to keep an eye on the car. Sophie seems deep in thought. She takes in the surrounding with a dreamy gaze. The sky is surprisingly clear tonight, the stars just visible in the night-polluted aura of the city. I feel like having a snack myself. I'll be by the fountain. Go look for somebody to your liking. See what effects you can achieve with your blood. But only pick one victim. Just one. Then come back. Seeing how she seems not altogether here right now, you decide to leave Sophie to her own devices and seek out your prey. From here, it looks like you have a few choices. Just a scroll around the park, you find an isolated jogger, or someone like some of them could work, but focusing on one area might be better. New York State Pavilion might work as a secluded spot. There's a skate park nearby, and worst case scenario, there's bound to be some unfortunate wino around, or maybe the tennis court nearby. There's light coming from there, so somebody might be playing late night match. They won't be alone, but they might be tired and let their guard down. All these scenarios play out in your mind. You realize you're planning how to assault a stranger in the middle of the night. It's a weird way to be, but the now familiar hunger prompts you to act. Search for a victim around the park, hunt near the desperate pavilion, look for prey. I'm gonna go the tennis court. You decide the tennis court are a good place for any and make your way to the bright glowing lamp illuminated the area. As you guessed, a pair of players, two men, fit but older, maybe pushing 60, are finishing up the match. They are the only ones there. It's time to make a move. Presence. Lure player away. You think back at what Sophie did in the hall. How she managed to focus the attention of the entire gallery to her. That might be a tall order for you, but a single person could be doable. You wait patiently until the two men hit the showers, get out and say their goodbyes. They go their separate ways, and one of them notices you standing there. You immediately grab his attention. Good evening. Oh yes, very good. You? Oh yeah, I'm having a blast. You? Won both sets. Not bad for a grandpa. He clearly is very happy with himself. You decide there won't be a better moment to strike. Moving closer casually at first, then closing the distance a single leap, you sink your fangs into his flesh. It only takes a sip. Oh no! Really? It only takes a sip to realize you made a mistake. The taste of the mud and bile in your throat seconds at a time tonight. You push the man away. He stumbles back to the ground. You can barely believe your luck. The hunger in you is unsaved. You leave the court foul mood. Fuck! As you're about walking back to some figure emerges from the shadows, stop you in your tracks. A hooded man is looking meticulously at you. Fucking hook. What do you think you're doing, barging on my turf like this, lick? Lick? What kind of slur is that? What do you call me a lick? What are you supposed to? What is that supposed to mean? Don't play cute with me. I know what you are. Shove that masquerade bullshit up your ass. Better tell me who you're with before my posse shows up and we beat the hell out of you. I'm here with Sophie. She's my patron. Don't ring a bell. Sounds fancy though. He licks his lips, exposing his fangs and looking at you voraciously. A nervous tick or attempted to be intimidating. I wonder, what would Cahalan do if I brought you in, huh? Break your shins, leave you out to be kissed by the sun. I'm trying to figure out this guy. I think I'm gonna go with yeah, wise guy, yeah. Kissed by the sun, ooh. Concrete shoes maybe. He's old school like that. Dominate, force him to back down. Enough's enough. You won't be intimidated by this asshole. Leave now. His countenance changes. A cruel beast one moment and humble pup the next. He walks away, just like that. How did you do it? Not wishing to attempt the fate any further, you return to the Unisphere, looking back at your shoulder to make sure that you're not being followed. Two figures are visible near the sculpture, a man and a woman, tangled in a passionate embrace. No, not exactly. It's Sophie feeding. But this whole scene would set up so that it looks like a couple getting intimate in public. She pulls it off like she's done it 100 times before. It occurs to you that she probably has. The man is unsure on his feet as she lets go of him and leads him towards the nearby bench. Noticing you, she whispers something to his ear and leaves him. Her driver appears from behind a tree. Well, Christine, how did it go? You're about to answer when the same figure before you emerges from one alley. He looks up at the three of you, and a predatory smile creeps into his lips. You're screwed, dumb fuck! You think you can mess with my head and get away with it? Think you could be safe with your friends? Well, I have friends too. He makes a motion to shout, but two things happen almost at the same time. First, that feeling of warmth and beauty emanating from Sophie flares up again. interesting both you and the hooded thug. Entrancing you and the hooded thug. He shouts, his shouts come out as a weak, confused squeak. Secondly, Gregory produces a wooden stake from his holster under his jacket and slams it to the thug's chest. Just like that, in a few seconds, the posture vampire pursuing vampire is down on the ground, paralyzed. I've seen you made a friend, Christine. Curious choice of company, I would say. Who is he? He mentioned a Colleen? He said something about presenting me to somebody named Colleen. Ever heard of him? She looks shocked for a split second, then recovering her regular countenance. Ah, yes, I have. This hoodlum is Anarch. Then, curious. Corona Park has not been claimed by any kindred last I checked. Let's go to the car. We'll put him in the trunk and present him to Qatar tomorrow. I'm sure he'll be delighted to make his unbound acquaintance. Gregory carries the stake vampire and dumps him in the car trunk like a mannequin. It's a strange sight, and you're quite happy when you're not in the poor fucker's shoes right now. It's almost surprising that you can get away with just casually throwing a stiff into your car and driving away. But then you remember that Sophie has been doing this far longer than you have. Still, the nagging though. That anything that you did could have been recorded on a CCTV camera or picked up by a rando with half-decent smartphone or streamed online fills you with dread. Hunting and using your abilities is dangerous business. It's clear that this whole being a vampire thing has about as many caveats as its perks. You're taken out of the headspace by Sophie's voice. I will pick you up tomorrow night, same as tonight. I have some business to attend to Elysium, and I expect you to accompany me. Plus, our friend in the back needs to be properly introduced to Qatar and the prince. I'm sure he'll have some interesting things to say to the court. Her voice is cold, cruel, and nothing like the enchanting personality she's shown at the Galleria earlier tonight. Sophie is clearly a woman of many faces. I'd do the same thing in his place. Good riddance. That guy's an asshole. Yeah. Oh yeah. I can imagine he's going to enjoy meeting Gadar. I hope he gives him a good grilling. Guy's an asshole. Oh, Gadar will enjoy it too, I'm sure. She pauses, seemingly losing in thought for a while. You haven't told me how your hunt went. Getting the hang of it, I would hope. I tried, but the blood was awful. My picky taste flared up again. I couldn't make myself drink from that man, even though I did bite him. That's unfortunate. I'm afraid I don't have a ready-made solution for this. You'll need to trust your instincts. The sooner you learn what it is you'll need in a vessel, the better. She seems distracted, not all there. Her thoughts drift in the car, remaining silent until you reach your apartment. We'll pick up tomorrow evening. Good night. Just like that, without any further courtesy, Sophie leaves, driving to her apartment by Gregory, with a body in the trunk, right in the middle of Manhattan. Did you cross paths with situations like this in the past, unknowingly? What other secrets did you pass on the streets without knowing their true nature? Your haven is just as you left it hours ago. Though the sun won't come up for some time, you feel tired. You've learned something about yourself today, and it takes time to process. You're not in the mood for television. There are a few books on the shelves in the apartment, are either in languages you don't speak or sound boring to read. Nothing left to do but rest. You settle in the back room, lock the door, a moment hesitation, back in the decision. This time, you turn the lights off. You think back to Julie. How many people in the city know about vampiric society? How many are willing to accomplices in sustaining it? And that thug you met in the park. If he's not Camarilla, then what is he? Are there independent vampires? How does that work? More questions. Begin to wonder if there's ever going to be a night where you can just start crossing them off the list instead of adding to it. You close your eyes. You sink into a familiar void of nothing. It greets you with open arms like an old friend. Oh man. God damn it, Bean. You open your eyes. The pitch dark here, the blackness like a coffin drifting into the abyss. Oh right, the light. You grasp for the light switch, flip it. The familiar cramped room and the steel door with no windows comes to view. You emerge with the bedroom fully awake, just like yesterday. This time, however, Sophie is waiting for you, comfortably seated on the sofa in your living room space, a book in her hand. The Melancholy of Resistance is the title, the sure on it, the sure on brand. Good evening, Christine. Good evening, Sophie. I hope you are well rested. Tonight will be quite eventful, I think. Come, we have an appointment. I have received word Elysium will be ready to be called again tonight, and on account of your unruly friend in Corona Park, this should be a great opportunity for you to mingle. She keeps talking as you walk downstairs, getting the car. Gregory gives you a slight nod and a small smile while opening the door for Sophie. He starts the car when you take your seat in the back. Most of the Primogen Council is bound to be there. At least they're usually those who usually attend. Probably some of their other important personalities you'd do well to at least learn about. Who should I talk to? Not especially. My advice would be to try to talk to the prince and perhaps reassure her of your gracefulness for being spared. Maybe speak to Kadar on the same topic if you get a hold of him. The Primogen I would advise against. They are rather stuck up, all told. And even if they will talk to you, they might try to secure you for some nefarious purpose. I wouldn't appreciate that. Of course, be respectful, and if anybody approaches you and strikes up a conversation, you will no doubt be gossiped about, as will I. Keep cool head. Enjoy some provoking fledgling into stupid acts. At any rate, you should behave yourself tonight. Remember what I told you about reflecting on me as your patron. I have a reputation to uphold in the court. Do not tarnish it. There it is. She might have saved you. She might be protecting you and teaching you, but it's clear what she's really concerned about. Her own interests. You step into the art hole with something of a bad memory. The last time you were here, your entire world had been turned upside down. Your existence nearly ended. But tonight is very little outward hostility, yes. Kadar gives you a look that defiantly intends to remind you of your place. But the prince also is intense, seems pleased to see you. Welcome, Sophie. Christine, did I get that right? Good evening to both of you. I understand there is somebody else you wish to present to the court tonight? Yes, Prince. They will be joining us shortly. My assistant is retrieving them presently. This better be worth the prince's time, Langley. The prince gives Qatar a cold glance. Forgive the sheriff's harshness. He is particularly foul mood tonight. Something to do with Christine's begittering elude his grasp, I believe. Ouch, that must have hurt his ego, even if it was only replied as a crooked smile. You mention of your sire makes you grit your teeth in anger. Asshole. settling you with a curse that cuts you off from your career, cheated you out of your ambition, offering little in return so far. You remain yourself. That defeatism will get you nowhere. Mindfulness. The here and now. There's an opportunity. You will make the most of it, if only despite everyone who doubted your true worth. The flare up the whispers in the gallery half break you out of your thoughts. Gregory enters the room, a jumpsuit clad insert vampire still stake on the shoulder. The show's about to start. Sophie's driver places his charge in the middle of the room and nods respectively to Guitar. The sheriff approaches the vampire and removes the stake from his chest. The captive eyes flicker to life, and he starts to look around in disbelief, like a cornered animal. He backs out on all fours, keeps going in cycles until he realizes he's trapped. Guitar steps to the man's chest and pins him to the shoulder. Why, who do we have here? Oh, fuck! Oh shit! No, come on! Don't, man! Silence. The sheriff takes on an aura of utter dread. He appears as if he is a primal force of nature that's out to get you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do but shiver in terror. The beast inside you shrieks, and you could swear it happens in unison with the instinct of some of the other guests here tonight. It's unlike anything you've experienced in his company during your turbulent first night as a vampire. He really did go easy on you, all things considered. It seems like it takes all of the hoodlum's willpower not to crawl into the fetal position and start crying. Oh, please, don't hurt me, man! Don't! You and me are going to have a little talk downstairs at the prince's discretion. Please, go ahead, my sheriff. You heard the prince. Get up. Let's go. He doesn't wait for a confirmation. He just grabs the man and drags him, kicking and screaming out the room. Conversations start all around you. Some whispers, some quite avert. Sophie looks like somewhat bored of the whole affair. Her eyes wander from art piece to art piece, clearly finding nothing of her particular liking. What happens now? It'll be at least some minutes before Katars get the information he seeks out of this thug. Why not mingle a while we wait for him to break? Excuse me. Sophie leaves your side and goes to the corner of the gallery where a group of kindred, some seemingly pretty old-fashioned gathering, concierge offers you a drink, still warm. Smells nice. Just a sip to start off, a splash over the palate, coasting your tongue and inside the cheek, nourishment. You're left to your own devices. You have a quick look around. The prince is currently talking to a dark-skinned woman that you seem to recall seeing here with those few nights ago. She has a cold but noble contingence to her. Her conversations be casual. A loud stirring laugh towards your attention to the bespectacled man who saw you with Sophie the night of your judgment. He makes the rounds, chatting up different patrons. You feel somebody's eyes on you. A casually dressed, plain-looking man stands alone near a column, watching you. He turns his gaze away sheepishly when he realizes you've noticed. Talk to the prince. You approach the prince, trying to stay your respect for your private conversation as possible. She gazes at you as you step forward. Her scrutiny gazes mockingly by her mockery at a companion. She addresses the dark-skinned woman before turning to you. Excuse me for a moment, Symmetra. Yes, Christine, what is it? I wanted to give my thanks. I wish to thank you for sparing me, Prince. I realized it wasn't an easy decision to make, and I wanted to express my sincere appreciation. Oh, thoughtful of you. She takes a long look at you before she continues. I didn't do it for the kindness of my unbeating heart. You are an asset to Miss Langley, to the Camarilla, and to me. I believe I made the right decision. Prove to me and the other kindred of the city that it was so, and there might be more to your future nights than just surviving in servitude. The dark-skinned woman looks impatiently at you and catches the prince's attention. Forgive me, that is all the time I can spare for now. We might have some things to discuss with Samara still. Enjoy your night, Christine. The prince nods and turns back to the other woman and continues their conversation. You notice Sophie mingling with other kindred. Clearly, her element is not to be disrupted. Qatar doesn't come back yet, so you probably could find another one conversation. The man looking at you. There's something about that guy. And it's not that he's staring at you. It's mostly everybody in the room has at one point or another. It's how he does it. He seems shy, maybe even afraid. It's hard to find a subtle spot in the gala tonight, but this guy has the entire corner of the room all to himself. As you approach, he's standing alone with no glass in hand, a worried look on his face. Good evening, mister? Larson. Or you can call me Robert. Either's fine. Why are you standing alone here? Oh, here alone like this. Why are you standing alone by yourself like this? I'm not hugely like around these parts. I'm surprised you wanted to talk to me. Then again, you're new, so you probably don't know. I'm one of Prince Panhardt's Primogen. I'm here on business. In case the prince requires my insight, usually it's so she can hear me out before ignoring me. Not sure if you were paying attention the other night, but when the prince mentions diverging opinions on whether you should be executed or not, it was me. I was the diverging opinion. Wow, thank you. Oh, that's huge, thank you. Even if it doesn't change the prince's mind. Yeah, it's usually how it goes. Listen, I don't want to be rude, and I appreciate you reaching out, but word of advice, stay away from me. Many vampires in this sect regard my position as Primogen to be some kind of joke, you know. You talk to me, they'll notice, and they'll hold it against you. You have a quick look behind you, and you see a few kindred keeping shots of your gaze. One woman in particular, red-headed, boasting a fancy hairstyle, watches you disapprovingly. Some of them already do, I imagine. Excuse me, I need to get word in with a few Primogen members before Qatar returns. Enjoy your night. But he's a Primogen. I wonder what clan. So it's a mockery clan. So it's either got to be a Gangrel or Bruja, because they've officially left the Camarilla. Who would be Malkavian? But Malkavians have been changed to where they're like in a more respected position now. They're not like crazy anymore in the sense that they're like, it's usually something like, you know, true wisdom or something to that nature. I don't know. Still I wonder if I can get my blood trait down. I'm like they gave me the blood. Why hasn't my blood gone down? Why hasn't my hunger gone down yet? I still don't know why. What the heck, man? What the heck? Bruh. What the heck? Excuse me. By the way, thank you everybody for watching live or catching this later on YouTube. This is awesome. This is a plus for sure. Really do appreciate it. Really do. Okay, let's continue, shall we? With just a critical look from a few kindred to keep you company, you start thinking about who to pursue next. A loud exchange near the staircase grabs everyone's attention. Qatar is back, and the hoodlum is with them. The sheriff pushes his unfortunate victim inside the room. The vampire that threatened you last night is a mess. His stupid hat is still unexpectedly on his head, covering some of his ruined face in welcome shadow. He's barely conscious. His shin is broken. You think something protruding there, making the pain leg bulge. One arm seems to be twisted in some strange angle. Very little blood, surprisingly, but clearly a whole lot of hurt. Well, Qatar, is it Qatar? Did our guest cooperate? Tell the prince your name. It's Howard, eh? And who do you run with, Howard? The Midnighters. An anarch coterie, my prince. Active for some time now. Though, from what this one told me, the name is about the only legacy the group has kept over the years. I see. Hey, Prince, I didn't mean it. I didn't know, I didn't. A loud crack makes some of the guests audibly gasp as Qatar slap dislocates the man's jaw. A spray of blood creates something like an abstract art piece on the floor. Involuntary reaction, your eyes lock into the red drops and you feel a pang of hunger, even though you just had some blood tonight. It seems like it's still not enough to fully control your instincts. This one is guilty of threatening a member of the Camarilla and claiming a domain without the prince's approval. This alone would be enough to pass swish judgment. But he is also anarch scum. My prince, there can only be one verdict. Final death. Do your duty, Sheriff. Unless, of course, somebody would like to play being a good Samaritan like our dear Miss Langley a few nights ago. The prince serves you and Sophie is a cruel jest. Sophie takes his gracefully smiling and slips her arm under yours in a straight public show of affection. Nobody says anything. The vampire named Howard jumps to his feet and makes for the window. Order him to stop. The moment you catch Howard's eyes, you order him to come to you almost instinctively. Stop. He stops and looks at you with one eye. The other one swollen, closed by Qatar's interrogation. A swift slash separates his head from his shoulder. The body slips to the ground and starts decomposing in front of your eyes. The sheriff, sword in hand, gives you a nasty smile from behind where Howard used to stand. Well, Christine, your eagerness is laughable, if unnecessary. That Howard feller couldn't have hoped to escape his fate, not facing Qatar's expertise. However, I have made note of this show of loyalty on both you and your patrons' accounts. I would like to thank Miss Langley for bringing this anarch thug to me and Qadar's attention. I assume all have found the verdict satisfactory? It's a rhetorical question, as everyone here knows it. Oh, what the heck? Then I consider tonight meeting concluded. Good night, all. Good night to all of you. She steps out of the room, and you see that many of the guests move the same. Sophie seems to be conversing with somebody, a serious-looking man with a trench coat, about what transpired. You probably have time to strike up a conversation too. Qatar Al-Asim is still there, for one, but clearly getting ready to leave. Larson is moping around, and the other man you noticed before Qatar brought the Anarch is still chatting with some, a sociable man. The well-dressed man just finished talking to a few of the guests, who turn towards the stairs and leaves the galley. He notices your approach. Thomas, Arturo. Thomas Arturo. Is that your name? I assume you'd like to know. I know you. By name only, of course, Christine. So tell me, how does it feel to go from victim to executioner's accomplice? I just want to be useful. Well, I just wanted to be useful, even if Qatar had everything under control. Right. Nothing like a show of good faith in a public space. I get that. He takes a moment to clean his glasses, completely ignoring you until he's done and puts it back on. I'm sorry, I got a bit distracted. You know, most of us don't need to wear these, right? I can't seem to just find. I can see just fine without them, but it's a statement. The damn things keep catching specks of dust and other assorted shit, though. Never stay clean for long. Sometimes I think they're more trouble than they're worth. Don't you agree? They look... No, they look good on you. You bet they do. Right. That was a nice chat. I have to catch up with the other few fellows. Like this gentleman here. Genie. He doesn't even give you a chance to say goodbye. He's already off. Putting a hand on the shoulder of the masculine man nearby. Right about this time when Sophie hears you in your conversation and walks over to you. Interesting evening, wasn't it? Come, Gregory is waiting downstairs. She seems preoccupied with something, and not in a talkative mood. It's an awkward ride back to the city. The time you arrive to another building, the 2 streets across from your apartment, she brings you upstairs through a very nice lobby, the luxury man hall, into her domain. Please have a seat. I shall be right with you. You take in your surroundings. The apartment is like a gallery, an old school smoking room that you've seen in some period piece once. A Novar rich living room, meticulously combined together. Apologies, old habits die hard. Clearly some stick with you even after your death. She drags a cigarette and breathes out. Breathes. How is she doing that? Can you do that? Oh yes, you might not know. It takes some practice, but you can smoke. Keep smoking if you like. Other things too. Experiment. You might surprise yourself. I did not bring you here to show off. This is where I rest these nights. That door in the back, the bedroom, similar to yours. I have servants and bodyguards in addition, of course. I brought you here because I need you to trust me. When I told you before that I needed you on your best behavior to uphold my good standing in the court, I meant it. That's not the whole story. I have your interest in mind too. That's why I've given you your own haven, why I'm trying to teach you how to navigate this new reality. But you need to trust me, or else this won't work. You can come here whenever you feel like asking me something when you're in trouble too, though I hope that won't happen often. I would ask you to come here when you wake up tomorrow. I'd like something to discuss with you. I'll be here. Okay, I'll come here first thing tomorrow night. I appreciate that. That silence again. There's definitely something on Sophie's mind tonight, but she doesn't seem eager to share it with you just yet. I'm leaving for another visitor. Come downstairs with me. We'll give you a lift. A quick trip, a promise that you show up tomorrow, and some polite goodbyes later. You open the door to your haven and gather your thoughts. It's exciting in a way, being dragged deeper and deeper into secret society and its rules. Whatever Sophie has planned for you, it's bound to teach you more about the things you have become. You sink into your vampiric sleep with just a sliver of hope. It's a welcoming change. Damn, son. I need a drink. Give me the drink, man. Once more, darkness falls upon the city. You wake. As you pray open the reinforcer, you look out the window. You're variable, the sky, brief of sunlight, and it hits you, the hunger. For a moment, you let yourself wonder if there will ever come a night where it's just not there. Given what you've learned thus far, you probably have much chance to starting your heart with jumper cables. You lock the apartment behind you and head to Sophie's apartment. You did promise to call on her. Might as well not keep the lady waiting. And hey, what else are we gonna do? You get in touch with your boss. Probably looking for you, if only to scold you for unattended files piling up on your desk. But what is he gonna do? Call the cops? Ugh, not worth the hassle. You're almost hoping a few coworkers that seem to give a shit about you were faking it. It would make things easier. A fresh start from the ground up. It's like old times. These thoughts put you in a weird mood. It's a strange sensation walking in a crowded street, same as you would many times before, but feeling so disconnected. All these people. You're just not one of them. Not anymore. You're a vampire, kindred, and you need to carve your own path in a strange new existence. In one way or another, approximately enough, you arrive at Sophie's building just as the thought crosses your mind. A quick word with a security guard, and you're led into the elevator. Apparently, Miss Langley is expecting you. Of course she is. You knock and wait patiently at the front door. On the other side, grows closer. Finally, the door opens and Gregory, Sophie's driver, invites you in. You find the lady herself standing by the window, silhouette against the city midnight glow. She stares out, motionless, like a marble statue. Hello. Good evening, Sophie. She doesn't react immediately, but she snaps out of some meditative stare and looks at you with straight bearing eyes. Yes, good evening, Christine. I was wondering, when you look out at the city, when you see the lights, hear the hum, smell the rain on the pavement, what do you think about? You gaze out. The light, the rain, the restless honking noise, music blasting from a nearby window, echoing off the building. Something should record an hour of this and throw it up on YouTube as an ambient piece. Other than no, business as usual. The sights, the sounds, the smell, you know them all too well. Sophie watches you. You can tell she's disappointed somehow, but she covers it up with a courteous smile. Well, not everyone can appreciate the intricacies that the world offers. In fact, among kindred, my clan is somewhat notorious for finding innate meaning in everything in the mundane. You see, my blood that flows within me is Clan Toreador. There are 13 such bloodlines among us. Though the knights have been consistent in the past, these nights it seems that nothing is certain anymore. The clans have gone by many epithets over the years, but the names used these nights have their roots in the medieval times, the original Inquisition, if you can believe it. They used to categorize us, describe our inherent differences. In times we adopted them ourselves. Each clan has a uniqueness about them, inescapable, originating from the ancient progenitors, carrying from sire to child. For the Toreador, the gift that lies in a sensitive of sorts. We are uniquely attuned to beauty and ugliness both. We can see either where most cannot. A blessing in most nights, occasionally a curse. The sheriff is of my clan as well, though he'd be hard-pressed to see him as such. Poor Qatar. It breaks my heart to see him in this state. Still, there's a beauty to it as well. Nothing like a good fall from grace. Try as she might act playful, you can tell she genuinely cares. She lets her gaze wander for a brief moment, but is quickly to regain her composure. Then there are the Ventru, knowing for their pride and their proclivities to rule over others. The prince represents that clan, as is quite common in our society around the globe. Where the blue blood thinks of themselves as rulers, the Bruja like to see themselves as preeminent revolutionaries. They call for universal rebellion while being slaves to their own temper. We won't discuss the rabble much more anymore, not after they've largely broken off to the Camarilla. I think they were philosophers once, long ago. I hope to tell you more about some of the other bloodlines tonight. How can you tell a kindred's clan? Say, I met a vampire for the first time. How can I tell what clan they're in? Usually you cannot, with a few exceptions, perhaps. For some clans have uniquenesses I mentioned bleed into their appearance or disposition. Even that can be misleading. Outside for very specific cases, knowing one's clan is less important than understanding who they are personally. What drives them, their wants, their needs, weaknesses too. Speaking of which, we have come to the reason I wanted to speak to you tonight. It is customary in our society, expecting among younger kindred, to organize into coteries, something they're called by the prince themselves, or mandated by a fledgling sire. In our case, you may treat it as more of a strong recommendation. I want you to seek out companions, not only because you need to learn more about our society, but also because it is useful. True friendships are rare among kindred, but having allies, even temporary ones, is something is unnecessary these nights. We might be selfish creatures, but we are drawn to each other, nevertheless. Do you have your own coterie? So tell me, are you part of a coterie? Any close allies? I do have those that I trust enough to work with, yes. Not a coterie exactly, though I have joined several of those others in the years, not in over a century though. You, however, you would do well to meet others of the city, younger kindred, and see if you can find a connection. It's an essential experience for one so young. She puts a mysterious smile. I spent some of my precious time last night asking around, pondering potential kindred for you to meet. Came up with a short list of contacts. I hope you appreciate the gesture. Forging a partnership with them might offer some perspective and viewpoint that I cannot provide. Lens through which to view our own kind. They are all members of the Camarilla, of course, more or less. Okay, who are they? All right then, let's hear it. Who's on the list? Eager to learn about them, I see. Good. I'm glad. So let's start with the Tremere. Yes! This is the clan I wanted to be in the first place. All right. So let's start with the Tremere. They are a powerful clan, disliked by many, but feared and respected by many more. They have been the most important pillar of the Camarilla since the very beginning. They are blood sorcerers. Blood sorcerers? You flash back to one of those nights when your ex would stay up late playing video games. Not a pleasant coordination. Sophie snickers. Oh, child, don't be caught with that look on your face. When you meet a warlock in person, they really are adapted to using Vitae, their own, as well as others. It's a unique, potent effect. Since they are quite rigid in their hierarchy, the kindred I had in mind for you might need some persuading. His name is Algon. From what I hear, he is quite the scholar, very ambitious, the child of a noted Tremere here in New York. Alsing Sumbridge. Oh, is that I wonder if that is the Tremere that I was talking about earlier in the broadcast. If that is the Tremere scientist lady from the book. Or let me see if this is this a throwback? Let's see. Signature character. Yes! Aha! I was correct. Signature character of the clan, Tremere clan. She is a High Regent. Yes. I was right. Yep. In the cover of the clan book, Tremere. Child of Night. Widow Walk. Widow Weeds. Widow Might. Coteries of New York. Badass. God damn it. Why couldn't I be embraced by her? Why couldn't I be best clan? Why couldn't I be best clan in A? Why couldn't I just be Tremere? They're the best clan. They're the best fucking clan in the game. And you'll find out later. Later when I stream and put it on YouTube later. I will make my argument that they are the best clan in A. Best clan in A. It's not an opinion, it's just fact. It's just fact. Anyway. Spent enough time with Alagon, and I'm sure you'll run into her sooner or later. Blood magic? Indulging. This whole blood magic thing sounds intriguing. Oh yes, fascinating. It is also well-kept secret of the Tremere. Don't expect them to share it right away. Some things have to be earned. Anyway, if you wish to contact the young Tremere, I hear you can find him in the New Age bookstore in Broadway. The Tremere have one of their workshops there. Greggy will give you the details. Now, the next recommendation comes with a bit of a caveat. As you recall me saying, most bloodlines have a unique feature, and that might not be obvious at first glance. Well, there is one clan those members wear their curse on their sleeve, the Nosferatu. The way she says it, you're pretty sure it should mean something to you, other than sounding foreign. It doesn't ring any bells. No wonder they make their havens in the sewer, abandoned buildings and such. Their appearance is hideous and obviously unnatural. They have walked the streets like other kindred. The kind would have learned of their existence long ago. Did she just shudder? It's hard to tell with her usual complexion, but you could swear her skin suddenly took on a more sickly color. The one I have in mind isn't a big eyesore as the worst of them, but he is no Andolus either. Still, we have some talents and connections that you may find useful. His name is D'Angelo, and he has an office, for lack of a better term, in the otherwise abandoned grain terminal in Red Hook. Right next to the one of those Swedish stores. The name escapes me. The ones with the awful furniture? IKEA. What, IKEA? The Swedish furniture store? You mean IKEA? Yes, that's it. My mind struggles to retain things that are aesthetically displeasing. D'Angelo does odd jobs for Kadar, digging up dirt, locating kindred who may prefer to remain hidden, that kind of work. The Nosferatu are best at. He's on a case right now, something to do with the Kind murder, I think. After your initial brush with our dear sheriff, I think it would be wise to show some goodwill towards his agenda. Assisting D'Angelo with his investigation might be just the thing. She takes a brief pause and look at the window again. Now, the two more exotic proposals. Exotic? As if Blood Mage and a vampire detective were business as usual. You may have heard about the Gangrel before. They are a wild clan in touch with their beast in ways others might not dare to attempt. They mostly keep out of our big cities, but there are exceptions. Normality, they have been part of the Camarilla for over 2 decades, but the one kindred I would like for you to meet has strong, shall we say, familia ties to the sect. Her name is Oh, I think that's another signature character. I'm pretty sure that's another signature character. I think so. Let's see. Oh, no. That's just a preview. Okay, that's why. I was like, oh, I remember there was a preview. That was a preview event. All right. Tamika. Her side, Jezebel, was instrumental during the Battle of New York. Oh, that's who. Jezebel was instrumental during the Battle of New York back in 1999. The very same battle that cemented the city as a Camarilla domain. No, that's not true. The Sabbat. I thought the Sabbat was. I thought the Sabbat were. I thought the Sabbat were in charge. Yeah, Jezebel is a former resident of New York. After then, Xavier pulled a little stunt, dragging the Fawn's outsiders, idolized him. Jezebel and her kindred ancestor merely shook his head. The exodus of the Gangrel of the camera left Phyllis for remaining part of a great deal of suspicion. However, her duty, yeah. Leading a small, furious pack of Blitzkrieg kindred, Jezebel tore out the throats of more Sabbat than kindred saw over the course of the battle. She is instrumental in a few Theobald's strategies, leading the Sabbat packs to an ambush or attacking them from flanks as other kindred played at being bait. Jezebel practically in the Bronx raided on the defending Sabbat in final conflict and Portlandia's stronghold, drenched in blood and warmed by glory. Jezebel made her name and was the lips on every elder under her serve. Ultimately, those remaining elders in New York, only a few were particularly interested in honoring the Gangrel. It was meant to exhaust senior reputation and rares, while a few kindred recall our exploits, such as Theo Bell, and hopefully such recognized did good to gain scheme remaining Jezebel's interest in the city potential. A little more footnote in history in New York's kindred. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Lupine Hunters in Milwaukee. Okay. I thought for whatever reason, I thought that the Sabbat. I was pretty sure the Sabbat had a stronger foothold in New York. I'm gonna have to reread the Gehenna book because the Flesh Cathedral and whatnot. Sadly, her achievements have gone largely unrecognized. Tamika and a number of her siblings still reside in the domain they were awarded after the battle, Prospect Park. Jezebel herself left the city some years ago, fed up with being underappreciated. You mentioned siblings? Siblings like actual biological brothers and sisters? No, No, not in the mortal sense. The gangrels sometimes use the word brood to indicate children began from the same sire. As you can probably tell, they do take a whole animal motif quite far. I'm sure how many of them are, but there are rumored to be a tight-knit group. The gangrel often act on instinct, so when you meet Tamika and her siblings, be careful not to slight them. They are easily provoked and can hold a grudge for a very long time. I speak from experience. So, you see, seeking out Tamika could prove quite educational, if nothing else. And who knows, perhaps you will find her temperance to be welcoming for a change of pace. But speaking of change of pace, I have one last suggestion for you, though it's one I don't make lightly. A kindred who calls herself Hope. She's a Malkavian. They are a unique cursed clan. For centuries, we considered them mad, insane, unhinged. But those of us who spent enough time with them come to understand the truth. It is no sickness, but a unique perspective of the world that has made them appear us as unstable. And that perception can prove to be very valuable. Having a Malkavian as your companion might be taxing on your nerves at the true test of patience at times, but their insight and intuition are unrivaled among kindred. As for Hope specifically, she is said to be recluse, but I have it on good authority that she can currently be found in an internet cafe. I believe it's called in Lower Manhattan. Gregory has the address. Oh. Where did you learn about Hope? Oh, one of my colleagues told me about her. Her concerns her unique talent, considers her unique talents and taps into the current fads among kind. Not something I personally interested in, as I'm sure you know by now. I take his word for it, at any rate. Well, I believe that's all of them. I still have a few social calls to make tonight, so I leave it to you. Use tonight and tomorrow night to arrange some cordial visits on your own. I will send Gregory for you as soon as I have further need of your services. Oh, that reminds me, you will need a car. Join us downstairs, wouldn't you? She smiles once more and turns to her driver. He helps her put on the coat, and the three of you leave Sophie's apartment. Sophie points to one of the cars near the building as Gregory hands you the keys. It is rather inconspicuous, compact car and decent looking, if not luxurious ride. Stay safe, Christine. This is your first night alone. Don't let it be your last. As they drive away, you find yourself with more freedom than you've had in the past few nights. A blessing? A burden? Time will tell. With the listed address in hand, you consider your next move. I need food. Let's see, which one is... Let's see. Gumshoe in the dark. Oh, of course. Of course. Once again, if I had the choice, this is who I'd be. But because I can't, we're going with best clan in A. Tremere. They're going Tremere. Of course, why not? They're the best clan. They're literally the best clan in the game. Oh, God. You arrive at the address given to you by Sophie, a small bookstore, slam dab in the middle of Broadway of all places. What really catches you off guard, though, is the store's display. Well, but you've heard about the Tremere. They're infamous for their ties to the occult and the mystical. And yet now, looking at the oddball collection of items in the display window, it feels borderline satirical. The books here cover everything from avant-garde, Ayurvedic practices and homeopathic to willingness to self-motivate. The vague, amusing juxtaposition doesn't even in there either. You notice a copy of Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible tucked beneath the cheap, smiling Buddha. A scientific journal on hermatology sits next to a teen ornate pamphlet of blood types personality theory. A large number of religious and quasi-religious symbols, lockets, pins, and various emblazoned paraphernalia are haphazardly strewn across the display between the tomes. Before you even open the door, you can smell the burning incense and hear the corny Far East tinging music seeping through the cracked speakers, motioning above the entrance. It's more quaint than what you were expecting from what Sophie told you the so-called warlocks. It doesn't look like they have much interest in impressing outsiders. And again, if there's anything I've learned and you've learned these past few nights, it's that appearances can be deceiving. At the time of night, the shop appears to be closed. Regardless, you ring the bell. You hear some shuffling around inside. A brief moment later, a latch slides and opens the door and pushes open a few inches. A tired-looking blonde in loose clothing appears in the crack. She seems confused, like you just woke her up. She lets out a yawn, scratches at her neck, their tattooed neck. Finally, she squirms in your general direction. Her pierced lips curves into an awkward smile. Is Agathon in? I'm looking for a guy named Agathon. Is he around? The girl gives you a suspicious look but opens the door. She takes a few steps back and you hear footsteps coming from behind the floral curtain that covers the back door. The expecting smart-looking woman emerges and looking straight at you. Ooh, it's Bay. Oh, it's Bay. It's true Bay. Oh, I already know who she is. Come in, follow me. Just don't touch anything, please. You follow her through the store. Inside, as expected, the stiff air smells of sandalwood, frankincense, and dozens other aromas. The woman leads you behind the curtain through a back door and to a rickety staircase. Ooh, this is like real occult shit. A flight of steps takes you up to the second story. You instantly notice a change to the decor as the tacky new age bookstore gives way to something resembling a cross between a library and a workshop. The smell here is strong too, but much more layered. You're not sure what to make of it at first, but with each whiff, it's apparently becomes apparent. Blood. The aroma, though subtle at first, soon becomes overpowering. It makes you, it takes you a moment to adapt and focus. Hustling Sunbridge. Yes, Bay. Bay, I want to be you. I want to be your clan. Can I just be your clan, please? Don't let me be this fucking venture piece of shit. Sorry, I'm overreaching. Is there a clear bias? There is a clear bias. I am sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. Once again, best clan in A. I didn't think you would know who you're speaking with, so I'm introductions are in order. My name is Alsing Sunbridge, and I'm the High Regent of the Chantry of the Five Boroughs. You are Christine, correct? I have to say, you're lucky that the ward outside of the building is only there for notification tonight. Otherwise, it would have been quite unpleasant. To answer your question, Agathon is here, but he is hard at work, and I wouldn't want to disturb him. I I am to understand this is a social visit? Um, how do you know who I am? Wait, how do you know who I am? Well, for one thing, knowing who's who in the city is one of my duties as High Regent. But most importantly, you've been on my mind. You've been on the mind of many kindred since Langley took you in. It's quite proceeding, as I'm sure you know, a first under Prince Panhard, and for Sophie to be the one to do it, curiouser and curiouser. Still, I'm sure you haven't come here to look for dirt on your sire. That would be unwise. Sophie mentioned Agathon to me. Sophie said I should meet Agathon. She was quite he's quite knowledgeable. Oh, did she now? Alcing looks you up and down. Her condolences seem unchanged, but you can tell she's judging you from what you said. And that's new. Suddenly, a man enters from the side room. He doesn't even look at you, lost in his own thoughts. I have it! Nestling, I think I know how to find it! He catches himself as he notices you. His face turns sour. A visitor? Yes, we were just discussing you, in fact. Is that so? Let me introduce myself. My name is Christine. I've been told you might be interested in teaming up. Teaming up? He seems very confused by the notion. What for? I could assist you in your work. I could be quite useful knowing how to count on someone in return favor. Is that right? He seems to consider it and turns to Alcing. High Regent, may I ask your advice on this? She looks over you and judges your worth and takes her long enough to make you feel uncomfortable. When she takes her eyes off you, she addresses Agathon. Do you feel like you need assistance in your task, my child? I'm confident I could do this. I can do it on my own. He pauses hesitation for a sec. But I do believe it is important enough to warrant outside help, even if only for a single night. Another brief moment of hesitation. Of course, the details would remain between you and I, sire. Agreed. On all points. Why don't you start by giving our intern here a brief explanation of what it is you're after. Agathon gives Alcing a hesitant look, but the woman nods approvingly. Encouraged, he turns towards you. A member of our clan disappeared without a trace a handful of nights ago. While the High Regent investigates if any foul play was involved, I've been tasked to recovering her research notes. If there's anything left over to recover, that is. I may have an idea where to start looking, and I suppose this is where you come in. If you truly wish to help, I could use your assistance tonight. Right now, in fact, given the time we've just wasted idle chatter, I should leave immediately. What's the research about? The research sounds pretty important. What's it about? A single glance at Alcing is enough. You can tell you're not getting an answer, at least now. It's important to us, and that's all you need to know. These people aren't in the habit of making things simple. Facing layers upon layers of secrecy, you can only tell. Oh my god. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. These people are in layers that you can only hope that what lies beneath is the real deal. I'm heading out. Are you coming or not? Sure. Sure, I'll join you. Very well. He gives Allising a slight bow. High Regent, with your permission? She nods. Before you go, however, Christine, defer to Agathon in all things. Our clan values obedience above everything else. Provide you can follow, and this might turn into a mutual benefactorial relationship. I will await his return and his reports. Good luck, my child. Agathon bows again and heads out, urging you to follow. The High Regent watches you leave. Outside, Agathon leads you to the car. It's almost funny seeing him get behind the wheels. Somehow you expected more mystical means of transportation. You drive south, heading to the Lower East Side. Agathon seems lost in thought, either that or he's very careful driver. Either way, several minutes pass in silence. So the High Regent's your sire? Did I get that right? Yes. He seems to think of right words before he decides to address you again. Let me ask you something. Why me? There are literally a couple hundred of kindred in New York. Yet you seek me out specifically. Why? Because I want to be your clan! I mean... a little bit of biased. A little bit of bias. A little bit of bias. Sophie spoke highly of you. For one, Sophie spoke highly of you. She gave me a short list of people to meet. And you're on it. I see. Once more, grows silent. You're unsure whether to continue prying as your driver seems to disappear into his thoughts. You drive into Williamsburg and stop by a fancy-looking building. We're here. There's a restaurant on the top floor. You wanted to help, so here's your chance. I need you to get us inside the VIP lobby. You recognize the place. It's where you were embraced a mere few nights back. Ooh, funny how the restaurant is as a parent vampire magnet. Once we're in, I need about half an hour to focus and some space. It'll be up to you to keep the attendants away from the room. Can you do it? He doesn't wait for an answer and points to the front door. Go ahead. I'm right behind you. The two of you take the elevator up to the restaurant. The door opens and you see that there are only a few guests left, sitting at their tables. An important-looking staff member approaches you. Good evening. I'm very sorry, but the restaurant is closing for tonight. I can make a reservation for next week if you wish. Let us in. We insist. Oh, but we insist. You will let us into the VIP lobby and stay there for as long as we like. But of course, please come in. I need blood. You walk and try to look casual and make your way towards the VIP lobby. You step inside and close the door behind you. It's a familiar sight, the same place where you had your last meal as a mortal. Strange. You feel something, but the lavish decor room seems almost plain to you. Your companion looks at you with something akin to admiration, or at least that's how you choose to interpret the slight change in his unusual somber facade. Not bad. Not bad at all. He inspects the room. It's usually cold, and Agnon soon discovers why. Looking behind a curtain, a window hangs open. The handle and locks looks like they've been dissolved, as if with acid. God damn it, Juno. What's with the window? Somebody broke in. I think I know who. He takes a frantic look around the room. This changes things. Keep an eye on the door. I need some time. Half an hour, at the very least. Nobody disturbs me. Understand? He hastily pushes a couch and some potted plants over the way, moves the bar stool and takes a curved knife, cutting into his own arm and letting the blood drip into the wooden floor. It's pretty fucked up. the way the flesh oozes in deep red, thick vitae. In life, you would have found its stomach churning. Right now, you feel weirdly turned on by the sight. What follows is more disturbing yet. With one hand, he sheaves the knife and seals the wound with the other. He smears the blood around him while murmuring some weird chant. It sounds vaguely Latin, but you're pretty sure it isn't. It's almost like a little discerning, but he seems to know what he's doing. A few moments later, the circle starts glowing faintly in a thin wisp of smoke surrounding Agathon. He sits down in the middle, cross-legged, eyes closed. Minutes pass. Agathon's face twists from time to time, and his head turns every now and then as if he was looking around or listening on a conversation. The smoke glows thicker, forming a veil around the mage. You expect something more flashy, but it's still a sight to behold. You wonder what the point of it is, but refrain from asking. It's probably best to let Agathon do his thing. For close to 30 minutes, you're left to your own devices. Suddenly, the door swings open, and the manager storms in, quickly raising hell. Initializing haze wears off quicker than usual. Argue with him to buy time. You start shouting match with the manager. He seems almost happy to oblige. You can't tell if he's dealt with the problematic customer before. You go back and forth a while until his face becomes red and his voice goes hoarse. At some point, he just points out, he's ready to throw the first punch. He shakes his head and casually walks to the sofa, picking up something between the cracks and upholsters it. We're done here. Let's go. Who the hell do you think you are? Get out of my restaurant this instant. Not waiting to make the situation worse, you walk out sheepily. The manager follows you all the way to the elevator, shouting and cursing. Agathon doesn't seem particularly fazed by any of this. The restaurant throws you some cursy glance as you walk towards the elevator, but wisely decides not to bother you. You ride down the elevator feeling tense. You half expected to see a police car waiting outside. Agathon only seems relaxed once you are in the car. He starts the engine, takes the right to the Continental Army Plaza, back to the bridge towards Manhattan. You're just about to say something, but Agathon beats you to it. That went better than I expected, all things considered. It might have been a trick of the light, but you're pretty sure you just saw a smile. I'm used to working alone, but what I'm dealing with right now, it might require some more assistance. And you seem capable enough. I could do more, you know. I could do more than watch your back while you're channeling Madame Bacalasivia. I don't even know what that is. Can you now? I guess we'll find out next time on Dragon Ball Z. That seems to displease his social battery for at least tonight. You drive the rest of the way in silence. It doesn't take you long to reach the Warlock's hideout. Agathon waves you at the admittedly once again lost in his thoughts, hopingly so. One of these nights you should probably take him up on his offer. Who knows? If you gain his trust, maybe you can actually break through the static facade and meet the man underneath. Hunger calls you. The city skyscrapers, the seeming never-ending sprawl of the Broads, it's a prison. You need to get out. You need to take back control of your life in this instant. The memories of your sire's frosty blue eyes mocked you, tempting you to show your dominance, to prove that you have the guts to take on what you want. Feeding. That's just the thing. Coasting, no. Ordering a mortal to bend to your will, drinking deep of their life's blood. Faces pass you by, while some look more ravished than others. Any would do right now. You compose yourself. You rationally mind fearing the blast breach of the Masquerade temporarily holds you over to the beast and its compulsions. Calming yourself for a small victory in itself, this semblance of command will have to do for now, but it won't last. You need to quench the hunger before it overtakes you and your mind makes you lose control. Oh boy. How do I Okay. How do I guess I'll rest. You notice something strange by the front door of your haven. A letter being slipped under the door in a cream-colored old-fashioned envelope. There's no name on it, but you know it's meant for you. Opening the letter is clear that it's been sent by someone incredibly old-fashioned. Rich or a fan of the classic stationery? No normal person sends a letter like this. No normal person sends a letter like this. The note is in short, intense, written in elegant, delicate handwriting. You're cordially invited to Rivinus at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine. We'll be waiting to make your acquaintance tomorrow. Look for me closer to God. There's no information. It looks like you have a mysterious invitation the following night. Yes. Yeah, how do I feed? Yeah. Okay, how do I feed? Myth and Faith Part 1. How do I feed? That's the part I'm gonna have to work on. But this will be for another night. So, thank you everybody for tuning on in. I appreciate it. This has been a blast, to say the least. Thank you for everybody who tuned on in. Thank you for watching. If you're watching later on YouTube, we will continue our charade into the city of New York. I'm going to go after Clan Tremere. Tremere, best clan in A. Period. I don't give a fuck about Nosferatu, Malkavian, Gangrel. Don't give no fucks. Although that God thing, that might be the ministry. Not sure. But I'm still going to go after Clan Tremere. So, we will continue tomorrow. Thank you for watching. So, until next time, be good to one another. And peace. Forever.